Shock Piece: The Search for Freedom, a novel by C. Nguyen. Chapter 36: Sydney, Australia, and East Ellis Hostel. End of winter, 1978. 3 months had passed. The children were not enjoying their frequent trips to Ho Chi Minh's mausoleum as much, but they got by. Listen, everyone. Mac walked into the hut carrying a letter in his hand. Great news! We're all accepted by the Australia's government. We're going to leave next week for Kuala Lumpur, by road then to Sydney by air, as soon as the paperwork's done. Hooray! Drin and Luke jumped up and down, clapping their hands at the same time. No more instant noodles, they chorused. Instant noodles were the main diet in refugee camps, along with canned meat, and after such a long time, they were fed up with the taste of both. It's my first aeroplane trip. Yippee! It's my first flight. Ay, ay, ay! Luke sang his silly tune with joy. It's everyone's first, Luke. None of us has traveled by air before. I'm so excited, Drin corrected her brother. Yeah, how nice to be able to get on a plane. We're going to fly. Juan was excited too. The whole family gathered, and as they speculated about the trip, they quickly realized they had no proper clothing for the flight to Australia, a distance of 6,611 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur. Everyone was worried they'd be boarding the plane wearing their usual rags. Yang, who reached Sydney last year, was over the moon on hearing the news her family was going to be in Australia soon. She had managed to send some money so they could all buy some new clothes. They had spent 3 months in the refugee camps wearing hand-me-downs from friends who had left to resettle in other countries. The clothes they had arrived in from Vietnam were now completely worn out, so Yang's money arrived just in time. Sorry kids, you'll just have to wear your thongs on the plane. There's not enough to get everyone a pair of shoes, V told them regretfully. Having just paid for everyone's new clothes. Even in their excitement, they left their hut, the miracle vegetable pond, and the refugee camp in tears. Their long journey was finally coming to an end with resettlement in Australia. Landing safely on the runway on a cold winter's morning, the Qantas flight had successfully transported its complement of refugees from Kuala Lumpur to Sydney's Kingsford Smith. Then, after the cabin was sprayed with disinfectant by customs officers, the weary boat people were ushered towards Australian customs. What are they spraying for? Drin was curious. Dunno. Us. Perhaps we're too stinky. Especially you, Drin, Juan teased. No way. I think it's you and Luke and your smelly feet, Drin retaliated. They're spraying to get rid of germs. You're full of germs, Drin, Luke added. Everything is so nice and immaculate. Kim was in awe, changing the subject. They were walking out into the customs area now. Shush, Mother was stern. Authorities and their representatives were always frightening images to her. Children, behave yourselves. Father was being serious too. Your right index finger, please. The interpreter put her right index finger up for the group to understand, translating the custom officer's order. Your left index finger, please. This was the second time they had to go through this. The procedure had been done initially back in the refugee camp while preparing their IDs for the UNHCR's records. Your fingerprints will be in the International Fingerprint Library. No chance of being incognito now, Father had said. Now, Mac joked after they were through customs. There you go. Whatever you do from now on, stay out of trouble, or they'll catch you easily, Trin. There's no way out. Your fingerprints can be easily retrieved. No chance of escape. They'll pull you in like a stray dog, so behave yourself. They all laughed nervously, even though the thought of performing a criminal act in Australia was the furthest thing on their minds. But the knowledge that detailed personal records could come back and haunt them brought cringing memories from back home. Yang and her daughter Kate came to the airport to meet them and followed them to their hostel. They cried and laughed together as if in a dream. It was only a year of separation, but it seemed like a lifetime, Max said with tears of joy when reuniting with his wife and little girl. I'm still dreaming, am I? Yang asked no one in particular in between her crying, laughing, hugging, and kissing everyone one by one. Mother could not say anything as her tears streamed non-stop down her cheeks. Then the group was directed to board 2 buses leaving the airport for East Hills Barracks. Settling into the bus and looking through the windows, Drin was fascinated by the red brick and tile terracotta houses, seeing them for the first time. They're different to our terraced townhouses. They're on one level and the bricks are not rendered. Yeah, everything is so neat and nice. There's a garden in front of every house too, and so many trees, flowers and grass. It's fresh and colorful, Kim agreed. They look strange, foreign. Drin smiled, knowing that she did not make much sense. But there's not many people around, are there? It's quiet, and the streets look deserted. Where are the people? Drin was puzzled. In the past, back home and especially in the refugee camps, she was always surrounded by crowds and noise. Leaving the dense suburban area to the remote suburb of East Hills, the bus entered semi-bushland with patches of yellowish dry grass on either side of the road. Oh no, are they taking us to the state's new development sites like the Viet Cong? They're not, are they? Mother cried out in fear. She was scared to death of the Viet Cong new state developmental sites back home, as being sent there almost meant a death sentence. Far away from civilization where one would labor for no reward. It can't be, G, Father reassured her. There are houses along the route. See there. Father pointed to occasional homes here and there on either side of the road. G smiled weakly and forced herself to believe her husband. Yeah, they're nice people, Australians and their government. They're not going to harm us, I hope. Then she fell into silence until the bus came to a full stop at East Hills Barrack. Father did not say anything else. Perhaps he was not quite sure either. Looking up from her reverie, Mother sighed with relief. Oh, there are buildings here after all. We are in civilization. There are power lines and flower beds and gardens. Stepping out of the bus into the cold wind of August, the group was shocked at the change in weather from hot and humid to the colder, temperate climate of Sydney. It was not only that, the flimsy material of their clothing and their bare feet meant they all felt the cold. Oh, it's so cold! Luke blew out his breath, fascinated by the cloud of condensation flowing from his mouth like smoke. Look, I'm smoking! Delighted with his ability to make it happen, he put his fingers in front of his lips as if holding a cigarette. Then, swaying with the motion and circling an O with his mouth, he blew rings of condensation like a regular smoker. Tapping his fingers on his imaginary cigarette, he pretended to flick the ash before inhaling again, entertaining the family. Drin copied her brother, both of them happily absorbed in this play acting like grown-ups with cigarettes in their fingers. Yeah, it's cold, Kim agreed in between her chattering teeth. No, it's not cold, it's freezing, Juan corrected, jumping up and down on the spot and rubbing his hands together to keep warm. I've never felt this cold before. Drin spoke between her make-believe smoke clouds. She pressed her body closer to V, trying to steal her sister's body heat. Huddling together, they shivered in their flimsy tropical outfits, sandals and thongs. The sun was shining and bright, but its mild heat was not enough to penetrate the cold air. It's winter in Sydney, just like being in the fridge, only 10 degrees outside, I think. Of course it's cold, V explained. My feet are glowing blue, Juan said. Keep moving, walking up and down might help, Juan, V said. They were standing outside the reception area of the East Hills Barrack Hostel, waiting for their admission to allocated rooms. Numerous buses had disembarked more than 100 refugees onto the hostel's grounds. Most looked lost, untidy, and pitiful, a contrasting image to the clean, neat surroundings and the clear blue skies of Sydney. When they all cried out with oohs and ahs when being ushered inside the hostel's heated dining room away from the chilly wind outside. Welcome to East Hills. My name is Bill Murray. I'm the manager here. Lunch is ready and my staff will be serving you. He nodded towards a row of uniformed staff standing behind him before continuing. Just get yourselves comfortable at tables over there and help yourselves to plates, cutlery, and food at the counter. After that, you are free to go back to your rooms and have a rest or get acquainted with the hostel's grounds. Dinner will be served between 6 and 7:30 p.m., breakfast from 7 to 10 a.m., and lunch from 12 to 1:30 p.m. I wish you all a happy stay here. If there's anything you would like to ask, please do not hesitate to do so. Thank you and enjoy your lunch. The interpreter translated the hostel manager's announcement. The group was in awe of the formal introduction as the foreign aroma of beef stew, chips, boiled and mashed potatoes, peas, and carrots filled the dining room and tantalized taste buds. They quickly dispersed away and looked for a table to sit down. Some had found friends from back home and joined in excitedly. Some were bold enough to act like they had been here before. Some were timid and shy, not daring to initiate a move until encouraged by the social workers. Yum, I smell food. Juan smacked his lips with eagerness. Yeah, yum yum. No more instant noodles, Luke declared, repeating his wish before leaving the camp. Wow, it's so nice in here, so clean, Drin said, looking around with wide eyes. Children, go over there and line up for your lunch, Father said. Go collect your plate, knife, and fork, and let the staff know what you want to eat. Now, go on, don't be shy. Hooray, we're going to eat our first Western meal, Drin declared, hurrying to the counter with the rest of them. Geez, look at you two greedy pigs. How are you going to finish that? Drin said with astonishment, looking at the pile of meat on Luke's and Juan's plates. Easy, just watch us. Then they dived in, attacking their plates with gusto and soon returning for a second helping as big as the first. You two are real refugees, aren't you? Of course we are. There's no denying that, is there? So what? I'm not ashamed of that, Juan said in between mouthfuls. Yes, we are boat people and refugees, and no, we don't deny that. We're proud refugees. If there's anything like a proud refugee, Drin said, and they all laughed with her. It continued like that for several weeks, and as they became tired of the canteen's menu repetition, they returned to 2-minute Maggi instant noodles, longing for their familiar earthen meals with fish sauce and bok choy. Haha, who said goodbye to instant noodles forever? It was forbidden to cook in their room, so the instant noodles became a simple alternative to hostel meals. The rest of their first afternoon was spent in their warm, cozy rooms, on their beds, under thick blankets. The excitement that followed their long journey and a feeling hot, tasty meal had made them drowsy until all of a sudden they were jolted upright by an urgent knock at the door. It's the charity people. Come on, get up. They're here. Hurry. Luke charged in with the news. He was staying in a different room with Juan and Father. Mother, V, Kim, and Trin were in the next room. His nearsighted glasses, crudely attached by wires, were delicately balanced on his nose and ears. Luke was so glad to retrieve his broken and trodden-on glasses on the upper timbered deck when the Thai pirates had left their boat after hoarding many valuables from them the first time. Back in the refugee camp, Luke had skillfully repaired them and had been able to see once again. The little boy had no other choice, of course. Following Luke's announcement, they were walking out slowly in single file. Luke and Trin first, then Kim and Juan. Father and Mother were at the back, timidly standing beside a large bin on wheels and huddling together and shivering in the cold. They were waiting with eagerness until the ladies urged them to pick what they needed. Returning to their room, Trin stood proudly in front of the mirror. Look, they gave me this jumper. She examined her image, enjoying the wonderful warm sensation of her newly acquired woolen top. It's yellow, it's bright, and it's nice. In all her life, Trin had never felt so glad as the joy she felt receiving her first set of warm clothing from the two ladies at St. Vincent de Paul on her first day in Sydney. She was also grateful for their caring heart and generosity toward a little person from the other side of the world. She was also grateful for their caring heart and generosity toward a little person from the other side of the world. The piles of second-hand clothes in the bin disappeared quickly. Each refugee was allowed to choose a jumper, a jacket or cardigan, a pair of trousers or skirt, a shirt or a dress, a pair of shoes, socks, and a nightie. Hey, I've got a complete wardrobe, Trin beamed happily. Except shoes. None of the shoes are my size, but never mind. I can still wear my thongs with socks. The clothes were oversized and well worn, but they were perfect and new to her. And most importantly, they were giving her the warmth she wanted more than anything else. Aren't they kind? Kim was glad too. They had enjoyed rummaging into the piles of second-hand clothes and choosing their first winter outfits in Australia. Arriving from the tropical heat of over 30 degrees Celsius to a mere 10 degrees was a big difference, and wearing the wrong clothes made it even worse. Yep, we're here and we're lucky. They often had to remind themselves that, to shoo away the melancholy from their aching heart and from their homesickness. It's real now. We're so far away from home. There's no turning back, is there? Trin asked V. Don't think of it, Trin. We have to step forward now, one step at a time. There's no turning back. Be strong, girl. But I miss my friends, my school, and our house, Trin said softly. It's so hard. It came to Trin now that after almost 40 years, that was perhaps the best thing for them as refugees of the 80s, being unable to turn back. It became the strongest force propelling them forward to achieve what most of them had achieved in the shortest time possible. It had been a rocky road for all, but they had reached their destination safely again, on shore this time. Recently, an Australian friend of hers had commented that he was surprised to see the Vietnamese so proud that they were refugees or boat people of the 80s. To some others, the need to conceal that fact might be necessary to keep in line with the level of becoming outstanding citizens by many of them in society today. You guys talked about your suffering and hardship of those early times without showing any scar or grief. It's wonderful to see many of you emerge from a tough start to embrace life with optimism and openness, becoming successful professionals or merchants. Within 40 years, the Vietnamese community in Australia had risen from scratch to become a well-respected, well-regarded, and affluent community with many considerable achievements, succeeded by humble and unpretentious people. He added, I take my hat off to them for that, I must admit. Her chest had swelled up with pride hearing the comments. Yes, we received, but we also have returned, Trin told him proudly. I was at a check handover meeting on Tuesday, January 20th, 2014, at the Vietnamese Community Centre in Cabramatta as a representative of Australian Vietnamese Health Professional Associations in New South Wales, AVHPA-NSW, to witness the presentation of 95,000 Australian dollars. It had followed the remarkable effort by our community, a mere population of 120,000 in total in New South Wales, to help the people of the Philippines after the devastating Haiyan typhoon. There were many refugee camps in the Philippines back then, and they had shown us their tremendous support. We wanted to give back what we could. Trin added, also, it was only last month that the community raised 165,000 AUD for the New South Wales bushfire victims. Then the Victorian bushfire in 2009, St. Vincent de Paul Society in 2010, to mention only a few. Trin smiled broadly, feeling like a strutting male peacock displaying his magnificent tail again. She had not felt like that for ages.